Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the Frigidaire refrigerator control box assembly. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the instructions and the new control box assembly. The control box is sold as a whole assembly. The main reason to be changing it out is if the damper has gone bad and you're not getting any cold air from the freezer to the refrigerator, or the freezer control is bad and the freezer isn't getting cold. In order to get to the part, we have to open up the refrigerator door. Now that we have the door open, we can remove this rear cover. We're going to use our 1/4 inch nut driver to take out the screw. Once you have the screw out, we can pull the cover off. We're just going to grab it on the back and pull down. Once you have it released, there's a couple tabs on the front you have to pull back to release those, and then you can pull the whole cover out and set it aside. Now that we have the cover out of the way, we can take out the 5 screws in the front with the 1/4 inch nut driver. Once you have the screw loose, you might have to tap the side to get it to come out. Now we can reach back and take the screw out that holds the back in. Once you have the screw out, you may have to tap it just like the front one to get it to drop out. Now that we have all the screws out, we're going to disconnect the water lines from the filter. We're going to throw a towel down just to catch any water that may come out. Then we're going to use a 3/8 inch wrench to come in and press on these blue locking collars and pull the water lines out. Once you have the water lines out, we're going to reach over and disconnect the big electrical plug at the top of the refrigerator. All you have to do is reach in and unlock the tabs and pull it out. Once you have the wire harness disconnected, we can reach in and pull the capillary tube out from the freezer. Maybe a little bit tight, but just carefully grab it and pull it out slowly. Once you have the capillary tube out of the freezer, then we can pull the whole assembly out of the refrigerator. Now that we have the assembly out, we can set it on the towel on the counter. We have to remove the controls so we can remove this front section. We're going to use a small flathead screwdriver and pop the knobs off. You can get them from behind and pull them off from the front. Once you have those off, you can set them aside. Then we can remove the controls. Each one has a little locking tab on one side. I'm going to get behind it with a small screwdriver and release it. And we're going to lift it up and pull it out at an angle so the other side comes out. Once you have the controls out, we can take the wires off the light bulb socket. Remember, the blue is on this side and the yellow is on that. They are different sizes also, so you can't mix them up either way. Once you have those disconnected, we're going to get all this stuff out of here so we can release these tabs and separate the two pieces. Once you have the controls and the wires out of the way, we can separate the two pieces. All you have to do is push this way to release the tabs. Once you have the two pieces separated, you can set the front part aside, and then we can work on the control box. The last thing we have to look at on the control box assembly is whether or not your refrigerator had this little heater attached to the freezer temperature probe. If you do, we're going to have to take this whole assembly out and remove this sleeve and put it onto the new one. So what you're going to have to carefully do is turn the box over, and there's a bunch of glue on each side right here that we had to take a knife and actually cut it. So we had to push down on here and then get behind it and cut all this glue on each side. Once you have the glue cut, then we could push the box out. Once you have the box out, you can turn it over, and we have to remove this plug with the heater on it. So we're going to take this tape off. And unplug this wiring harness. All you have to do is press the release tabs and pull it apart. And then we can slide this whole assembly off the sensor bulb. If you don't have this heater, you're just going to use the black insulator tube that's already on the sensor bulb on the new one. Here's the old control box assembly next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at appliancepartspros.com. This is a redesigned kit, so there's some changes. You want to make sure that you'll follow along with the instructions and the video. Now we can put the control box assembly together with the main front panel. We're going to grab that and snap it on. Remember, you have to line up these tabs right here and lock it on. Now that we have the two pieces snapped together, we can mount the controls. We're going to put them in the same way we took the old ones out. Just carefully slide one side under here and snap the other in behind the locking tab. The yellow one is the fresh food one, and the blue one is the freezer. It's the one that still has the sensor bulb wound up. Once you have these in, we can connect the light bulb socket. Remember, the small wire went on this plug, and the large terminal with the double blue went on the big terminal. Once you have the controls mounted and the wires hooked up, we can route all this stuff through this little opening. You want to be careful with the capillary tubes. You can bend them a little bit, but you don't want to kink them, otherwise you'll ruin them. Once you have everything routed to here, then we can carefully uncurl the capillary tube for the freezer control. This one, if yours didn't have the heater on it like we had, you can leave this black tube on and just push that part through into the freezer section. We're going to take ours off because we actually do have that heater. And we're going to grab the heater and put it on. To put the heater on, all you have to do is carefully slide the tube over the capillary tube. And you want to make it so the tip of the capillary tube is right there at the opening. Once you have that routed, then we can reconnect our wire harness. Again, if you don't have the heater, you can just leave this connector here. You don't have to worry about it. We're going to connect ours. There's only one way it can go, so just make sure it locks on so you get a good connection. Once you have it connected, we're going to route it underneath the damper control box, just like the old one was. And then it goes right out this little cutout right here. Once you have it in place, we can grab a piece of tape. You can even use the one off the old control and tape this down. And then we're going to carefully set the damper control back down onto the other half. Once you have everything together, it's pretty much ready to go into the refrigerator. The only thing we have to do is take off this piece of tape, and they give you a new screw. We'll set that aside for later. Now we can put the control box assembly back in the refrigerator. When we feed the sensor bulb and the heater assembly through the wall, there's a little cutout where it drops down, and you want to make sure it goes through this lower hole, not just through the regular opening up there. Once you have it in place and almost all the way in, we're going to reach up and connect the main wiring harness. All you have to do is plug it in, make sure it locks. Once you have that in place, then we can push this all the way up against the wall. And we can put the screw in to the back that holds it in. We're not going to tighten that all the way down, we're just going to get that screw started so we can lift everything up into place and line it up. Use the 1/4-inch nut driver to put in all the other screws. Once you have the rest of the screws in, we're going to reach back and tighten the back one down. Now that we have them all tightened down, we can reconnect the water lines to the water filter. All you have to do is press these back in order to lock them into place. Remember, the light tan was on the outside and the white one was on the inside. So all you have to do is push these in until they bottom out. Once you have the water lines reconnected, we can put the cover back on. To put the water line cover on, there's a couple tabs right here that have to go into the little openings behind. So all you have to do is push those in. Once you have it in place, you can push the cover up, making sure the water lines go underneath it. And then we can use our 1/4-inch nut driver to put the screw in to hold it in. With the cover in place, we can put the knobs back on the controls. To put the knobs on the controls, if you look at each control, there's a large tab at the top and a small at 6 o'clock. You have to line those up with the ones on the knob, and you can rotate it over and push it on. Once you have them on, you can turn it to your settings and get ready to plug it back in. Now that we have the part installed, we can close the refrigerator door, plug it back in, and make sure it starts to cool. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.